Hello everyone, and welcome to the IPR Game Room. Today we will be talking about yet another game by Greg Stoltz, or Stoltzy. Again, sorry Greg, I will go ahead with Stoltzy because I don't really know how your name's pronounced. We will have a link below to the last review of a game by Greg, which was $1 Million Soulmate. Today it is Dueling Fops of Vindamere. Now, as you can see, what I have right here is a printout of a PDF because Dueling Fops of Vindamere does not exist as a physical product, and we don't really, very seldom do we ever review anything that is not a physical product here in the IPR Game Room. But the staff, we were all playing it, and we liked it so much that I thought I would make an exception. We are contacting Greg about stocking it with us as a PDF, and in fact, if you're seeing this video, it's available below because Greg said yes. Now, Dueling Fops of Vindamere is a highly amusing little game in which you play a aristocratic twit who is a duelist in the fictional land or possibly just city of Vindamere. You're the head of a dueling school, and it is your goal throughout the game to generally outdo, whether in romance, wittiness, or violence, the other heads of other dueling schools. Your characters are outrageous and ridiculous and incredibly amusing. There is a very, very fun character generation system in which you create the name of your character, the dueling school of your character, and two of your character's beloveds. I'll come back to that in a moment. So your character has four characteristics in this game, which are foppish and serious, and duelist and aristocrat. They're together in pairs, with foppish and serious being one pair and duelist and aristocrat being another pair. These two pairs fluctuate constantly throughout the game, the numerical value, but each pair's value always equals 10 total. So if you have 3 in foppish, you have 7 in serious. My experience playing this game is you're way better off having a lot of points in foppish. Because if you run out of foppish points, you are in fact out of the game. And there is a variety of ways that you can exit the game and fates that you have. But on the other hand, not. I had my character, in fact, had very low foppish to start with, immediately ran out of foppish. And by general consent, which is also allowable in the game, sort of stayed in the game as not so much a contestant to win, but a sort of serious-minded foil for some of the other characters. The game is, like many of Greg's games, played in a series of structured rounds with several scenes that must happen, but many scenes that you can make up on the fly. There is a wide variety of scenes presented in the little book that you can use to play out in. As your ridiculous characters insult one another, try to steal one another's beloveds, or kill each other, depending on how things go. Combinations of foppish, serious, duelist, and aristocrat determine certain game roles under certain situations. It's a very clever little system that Greg's made up, that require different point values for success against other players and against sort of the setting itself. Again, I know I just said this, but I want to point out that the little sort of game system that Greg's made for this game is actually really very clever, with it sort of balanced two groups of 10 points that in 4 combinations that can be used to do a variety of things. I don't know if it's something uniquely Greg's made up or he borrowed it from somewhere else, but it's really very good. I could see working with it and developing more things using it. So if you're a game designer, you may want to pick this up just to sort of see how he's done it, because it's sort of, I think, a wealth of sort of ways to make a small indie game work. Probably should have a lot more further development. But anyhow, the setting itself, while of course brief, I mean, you're only looking at I don't know how many pages are here, 30, 40? 44 pages. It's surprisingly rich and detailed, perhaps due to the fact that Greg has chosen to use size 6 font or something like that. And I'm being waved at from off the camera. I'm joking. It's like size 8, but I'm old and I have a hard time seeing it. Nevertheless, it's rich. It's richly detailed, considering this just a tiny amount of space. I really felt like I knew sort of the city and had a real feel for it. It also has a small glossary of locations in the back that you can refer to. On the whole, an extremely amusing and entertaining game. Please do pick it up from us in PDF form. And follow us on the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and our newsletter. And remember, gamers, it's not whether or not you have a hat, but how many levels, brims, and extensions that hat has.
Also, that's not the size of the font in the PDF. The PDF is like a normal 8x11 page size. That's just how I printed it. So
could you leave that in at the very end? At the very end.
I'm just saying.
AC was pointing out that I'm an idiot, and this is just how AC printed it out. It's not. Greg doesn't actually make you consume it in 6 font or whatever. This is just how AC printed it out into a little book.
So
One could print it out as an 8.5 by 11, and thereby avoid, the eye exhaustion of middle age. So there we are. Again, highly recommended.